Welcome to episode 5. Joe Scott from Great Scott PR.
Oh, sorry.
What? I know there's a story about the name. Should we start with the name? Shall we start with the name?
With the disclaimer. I really don't like the name. Great Scott is a great name for a communications consultancy. It's memorable. It's all of those things, and it's great. I just cringe when it's near my name because PR people have a stereotype.
They do,
and they're very full of themselves. And I would hate to think that. Like if somebody said to me, do you know Joe Scott from Great Scott? I'd think, what a dick. I really would. And I'd like to think that I'm not that.
Yes.
But,
well, you're not that.
Thanks.
So you don't need to worry about that.
Thank you.
But yes, it is interesting, the stereotype thing, because I thought PR agencies were dead. Like, don't PR agencies just write newspaper articles and smoke cigarettes and just wade right into that?
We don't smoke cigarettes anymore. In fact, we don't even vape.
Really?
Yeah, not even.
Because you're behind the anti-vape campaigns.
Nobody at Great Scott vapes or smokes, just for the record.
Okay.
No, PR is thriving.
Is it?
This is the whole thing. People have all of a sudden realised that actually the marketing of old, where you make fake promises, doesn't work. And actually there's a whole movement around authentic storytelling. And what PR has changed radically. So, when we look at the skills that we offer, there's, of course, communications, whether that's internal comms or external comms, setting strategy, comms plans for projects, etc. But there's also, the dark arts of PR, reputation management, government relations. We do a lot on that. But there's also the creative side in terms of we do a lot of visual communications. We have in-house designers and in-house videographers because the digital age means that communications is not just written anymore, it is verbal. And yes, part of what we do is media relations, where we will work with the media or we'll work with clients to get them into the media, or if they are the subject of a media inquiry, we'll help them manage that in a way that will ensure their reputation is as least damaged as possible. That doesn't mean we'll lie to journalists. I will never lie to a journalist. I'm not that stupid. Our first piece of advice would always be tell the truth, but we can certainly let them know how best to do that. But before anything, we've got a real big co-pupper at Great Scott, and that is we don't mind controversial, we don't mind hard projects, we don't mind hard clients, we're not afraid of corporates, we're not afraid of commercial ventures at all, but we do tend to err on the side of no harm. So no tobacco companies. No vape shops.
That's disappointing. I was looking forward to a discussion about Mad Men. Yeah, there's lots to unpack there. So I'm curious to go back a step or a couple of steps. How did you get mixed up in PR in the first place, Joe?
I was pregnant.
Okay.
And so...
Was that the first PR campaign?
Yes, no. Basically, what happened was, so I was a real uber nerd at school and knew at a very young age that I wanted to be a journalist. So,
what was it that made you know that from such a young age?
I don't know. I just knew. It's weird.
It is weird.
When I was 14, I rang TVNZ and TV3 and said, I want to be a reporter for you guys. Where do I need to study? And they said, you need to go to the New Zealand Broadcasting School. And so then I rang the New Zealand Broadcasting School and I said, I want to come to you after high school. And they said, you can't come to us after high school. And I said, but I want to. And they said, well, you can't. And I said, well, what would I have to do so that I could? And they said, well, you could go and get some work experience. I said, cool, easy, what else? And they said, well, learn what news is. I said, cool, what else? And they said, I said, oh, well, no, that's probably it. And I said, no, tell me, what will I learn there? And they said, oh, well, you'll learn shorthand and typing and you'll learn... how to edit audio and stuff. So I went away and I rang News Talk ZB in New Plymouth, and a lovely man called Brian Lawler listened to me and he said, okay, you can come in. And I did work experience, and after a few months he gave me a job. And so I was writing radio copy, and by the time I applied for broadcasting school, I had a big portfolio of radio stories. I could cut and edit audio. I studied shorthand typing at school, and I could do shorthand and typing before I applied for broadcasting school.
People won't know what shorthand is now.
No, they don't, and I can't do it now. But anyway, but what happened was I then applied for broadcasting school, and I was accepted, and I only know because a group of radio students got drunk and broke into the office at broadcasting school, but I can tell you the year I applied, there were 250 applicants. I topped the intake and, the criteria for intake, and I was the only one in my course that didn't have a degree.
Wow.
Nerd.
Good job.
Nerd.
Good job. Or
Nerd.
ambitious?
No, just a nerd.
Go-getter?
No.
Okay, we'll go with nerd.
I love what I do, and I've always loved news. I've always loved news. I remember listening to the radio when Prince William was born. I remember Charles and Diana getting married. I got up once. This is a true story. I got up and went to the dairy, ran to the dairy, Tui Dairy on Mangere Road in New Plymouth, and got a paper to find out who won the election when Jim Bolger became Prime Minister, when National won. And I would have been 10.
Wow.
Total nerd.
That is commitment. Yeah, I don't remember being that committed to current events when I was at primary school.
It's the only sport I follow.
Yeah.
News and politics is the only sport I follow.
And so fast forward, you're pregnant, and so is this the beginnings of Great Scott?
So no, basically what happened was I worked in news, and I did pretty well. Ended up as a chief reporter when I was 22 at Christchurch, and then I went overseas for a bit, and when I was about 24, 25, and came home, and I just poured beer when I was overseas because at 24, 25 I was burnt out, which was kind of understandable.
Yeah, it's a tough time.
And well, it is when you've been a nerd since you're 10. And I came home, and I was really looking forward to cracking back into my job. I'd spent 9 months with my now husband driving around the UK, Europe and Ireland, and I thought, great, I can use my brain again. And a week after we got home, we discovered I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, that's going to be awkward. But thankfully, my old chief reporter offered me a job at her then public relations agency, and so that's how I got into PR.
Gotcha.
And I was there for about 5-6 years, and then I left. Yeah.
And so after that 5 or 6 year period, was it left to start Great Scott, or was it left to?
No, I did a lot of contract work. I have taught a lot, so I've taught at the New Zealand Broadcasting School. I still duck in and teach modules every now and again. I do love teaching. And I did a lot of contract work for different things. I also taught the postgraduate diploma in journalism at UC, and I did all sorts of contracting work, and then I was asked to apply for the chief reporter newsreader job back at News Talk ZB, and so I applied for that. I got that job, and I started that job on the 4th of September 2010, which was the day of
the earthquakes.
First earthquake.
Yes.
So that was a really busy job, and I led that newsroom through all of those earthquakes, through the Pike River tragedy, and we did some epic work. We did some wonderful reporting with Mike Yardley, etc. there. It was awesome, and it was a real privilege to be able to report on that stuff, and then departed there in 2013, and I thought I was very lucky when I left. I was offered a lot of jobs, but I wasn't in the space to have a job. So I thought I'll just start doing a little bit of contract work again, and before I knew it, I was earning too much to be a sole trader, and I was then juggling all this work, and I had a lot of contractors who were working to me, and then my now business partner, the amazing Donovan Ryan, came along, and Dono will tell you that I asked him to join me. I maintain, I remember him saying, I don't want to work at the DHB forever, Joe, I'd like to be your business partner. He will deny that.
course he will.
And so then Great Scott was born.
Great Scott was born. And so what does Dono think about the name?
He loves it. Well, he says he's the Great and I'm the Scott.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
He's much more comfortable with it.
Makes it more acceptable. So would you say it was a case of accidental business owner, or was that on the horizon subconsciously for a while there?
No, it's a complete accidental business. So our business strategy has always been to do good work for good people, and that has seen us grow. And Dono's actually got a really great line, and he talks about Great Scott's success being down to a bit of anxiety, and that he and I are both terrified of ever letting a client or team member down. And so we really polish stuff before it goes out the door. We're really proud of what we do. And so we don't get it right all the time. We absolutely don't get it right all the time, but we own it when we do. And we make it right when we do. So it's an accidental, anxiety-driven business.
Sounds awesome.
It's amazing.
So tell me a little bit about what kind of work you do now and who you work with, because again, I think PR in this day and age is probably misunderstood.
100%. So we do all kinds of communications in times of crisis and in times of BAU. And so we'll work with a client on ongoing comms, and so we've got a number of clients that are partners, and so we'll meet with them once a quarter, hear what's going on in their business, remind them of what they said last time, and we'll look at, opportunities to leverage or amplify the good bits, and across a variety of audiences. So internal comms is really important, especially in a large organisation where you could have...
When you say large, how large are we talking?
Any organisation, but a large 100 plus. It's really easy for the people on the ground to disconnect from a business's strategy. And so actually internal comms and storytelling is the only thing that will keep that alive. Internal comms will make a chief executive seem accessible and visible and likeable to the team on the ground, and so that stuff is gold. That stuff, you've got a staff, you can have them as brand ambassadors or brand assassins, and internal comms will make sure that they're ambassadors.
Nice, I like that line. And so in the SME space, do you work with businesses in that space, or is it mainly large organisations?
We work with a mix. So we have a lot of really long-standing relationships. So we do a lot of work with Hamner Springs Thermal Pools and Spa. We work with Christchurch Airport. Done a lot of work with Sinlay. We've done a lot of work with... I always struggle. We're doing a lot of work with Methanex at the moment. And, and I say these, and it's funny, inside I can hear people going, but what about, it's a fossil fuel company? And it's like, well, yes, it is, but methanol is a low-carbon alternative to many of other fossil fuels. But we also work with smaller businesses as well. So I'm just trying to think of some examples where, we're about to do a big piece of work with, I hope they don't mind me saying, Kathmandu, which I'm super excited about.
Cool.
We've just recently launched the Museum of Archaeology Otatahi, which is, these are incredible people who dug up over 1 million artefacts after the earthquakes as things were getting rebuilt. We work with amazing people doing epic stuff. We work with insurance brokers, we work with builders, construction. It's pretty cool. So, everything from building websites, social media to, it's huge.
Awesome. And how do you go about winning those contracts? Do you headhunt them, or do they approach you, or?
I can hand on heart say it is all word of mouth. We've responded to 2 RFPs in the history of Great Scott. Didn't get either. But no, it is all word of mouth.
Interesting.
All of it.
Yeah, and
because our business development strategy has always been do good work, listen to your client, hear the problems they're facing, hear the opportunities they're chasing, and give them ideas to achieve those objectives. Then they go, oh yes, I want to do that. And then you grow your business. Then you get results. Then they like you. Then they tell their friends. That's the way that it's worked.
Radical.
So I know. Like, it amazes me. We had a staff member recently who was obsessed with business development, and we don't have time. I don't have time for business development. I was talking to an owner of an agency once, and she was so aware of who we were working with and who other agencies were working with. And I was sitting there thinking, how do you have time? I don't even notice. Like, like other agencies are great and I'm doing great things, but I don't know who they're working with. Genuinely, I just don't even think about it. We're focused on what we're doing and making sure we're always delivering for our clients. And we've always been that way. It's why it took us 6 years to get a website,
Yeah, I mean, so on that front, how do you guys do your own PR? Like, is that a thing for you guys?
Badly. It's how we do our own PR.
Yeah, so it's like the builder's own home thing.
Yes, in fact, when we did take 6 years to get a website, that is what we had as our holding page, was we will do a website, and when we do it, we'll do a good one, and we are pretty good at what we do. We're award winning, and this is embarrassing, but can you just please consider us the builder with the bad home at the moment? I always say to people, never look at Great Scott Social and think that's best in class, because it's not.
Look at the clients.
Look at the clients.
It's pretty cool though, because how many have you've got 17 on your team now?
We do.
Yeah, and so you've grown from 0 to 17 with no business development, just word of mouth. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
and doing good work, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, business development is, like, I've never gone, there's a client, I really want to work with them, I'm going to go and get it. We've genuinely, hand on heart, I've never done that. We just haven't had time. And that's a luxury. It's a privilege to be able to say that, and it's a privilege to work with all of our clients. I get incredibly excited about what they're doing. They are epic people doing epic things, and it's easy to get excited when and it's when they are, and it's a privilege that we don't take for granted. And so we genuinely take an interest, and we will genuinely do our very, very best. And we've done some things, such as our model is probably a little bit more agile than what I've heard some other agencies have. But we've done our very best. The core strategy, I think, in doing that though, is making sure you have the best talent on your team, and we do. Like, the team are epic. They are all absolutely phenomenal at what they do, and they care. They care so much. They care so much that we recently we're at a video shoot, I'm not joking, and there was a child there that broke some groceries, and one of my beautiful team members paid for those groceries out of her own money. Didn't say a word. Just didn't want to let anybody down. But that's the sort of stuff they will do because they care. And so when you've got people who care, you look after them. And, we are not the perfect place to work. I am a nightmare when I'm stressed. I'm awful when I'm stressed. But we do try and do what we can.
Yeah, how do you go about attracting that talent? Because I imagine there's a lot of competition for good people.
Yeah, I think part of it is we've been really lucky the last few times talent has started coming to us. And so...
Why do you think they're coming to you?
I don't know. Because they hear about us, they like the work that we do. People want purpose, right? And I think having a kaupapa of no harm, doing things like, as a business, we respect tangata whenua. And the role they play.
How do you do that?
We've got a fluent te reo speaker on staff. We do 15 minutes of te reo 4 times a week, which doesn't sound like a much.
No, that sounds like a lot.
And
in a good way.
Yeah, totally. Well, we were doing 90 minutes of full immersion a week, and I'm I was the worst attendee. And it was funny because I was seconded for a while and I came back to Great Scott. I couldn't understand them because they were all loving it so much. But
they were ahead of you.
They were ahead of me, which is fine. I love them ahead of me. Best piece of business advice is seriously employ people who are way smarter than you. But it was interesting. The problem with that model was new starters couldn't join. So now we have the beautiful Solomona Davis, who is Samoan and Irish and incredibly proud of his heritage. And he leads us through 15 minutes of te reo, and so we will always start with a karakia or a waiata, and he makes it relevant as to what's going on at the moment. So New Zealand Music Month, he'll talk about music. And he is an incredible orator. He's an incredible communicator. We are so blessed to have him. And he's teaching us te reo and tao Māori and tikanga while we teach him how to comms. So it's a good deal. We are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beautiful, beautiful man. He's what I call
what an asset to have on your team.
Yeah, he's what I call a great Scotty with superpowers. So all great Scotties are epic. Some of them have superpowers. Superpowers are things that nobody else can do. So like our designers have superpowers. Our videographer has superpowers. Lots of them have superpowers. I don't have any superpowers because I'm completely replaceable. But yeah.
So is that a formalised thing that you do within the team in terms of those superpowers or identifiers? Is that just...
No, I keep meaning to. Yeah.
Because it sounds like the way you've described it is kind of like everyone's got their... I don't know, I was just thinking about cards in my head. Like they've got their little niche that they can pull out and go, play this.
I think strategically we have built the business to deliver what the market wants. And so...
How do you mean by that?
Well, when you're dealing with clients all the time and they've got needs for design and needs for video, well, we made that part of our business so that we don't do all of our videography in-house, we don't do all of our design in-house, but actually a big chunk of it we're able to. And having those skills internally means we can deliver things really cost effectively, because when you don't have those in-house, you're charging clients for the time to go and brief the designer, to meet the videographer, whereas I'm just hollering across the room.
Yeah. So. And I imagine that makes your, not just your delivery in terms of the price point, but I imagine it makes your delivery in terms of the end result a lot better, and because you've got that communication speed.
There is, and it's speed as well. So, at the end of the day, every organisation has digital channels that they're desperately trying to fill, whether that's a website, whether it's your LinkedIn or social media or your EDMs, your electronic newsletters. And what we're able to do is produce content really quickly for you and get it out. And having a photographer and videographer in-house means he knows our clients. I can say, Kurt, duck out to the airport, I need a photo of this, but I'm going to need it today. I'm going to need it in an hour. And it happens. Yeah. And that's what's great, is that I'm not running around trying to find someone to do it. They're there and they get us and they know what they need.
Has that been overextended at all in the last few years, in terms of you've gone, the market wants this, we think the market wants this, and then actually you wind it back and go, no, we didn't. We actually don't need 2 videographers. We only need 1, or we don't need
you just nailed
5.
It. Yeah, you just nailed it. So we did have 2 part-time videographers for a while. We were incredibly lucky to have Dave Risdon, who lots of people in Otatahi will know. Dave has a business called Quality Antics, and he is epic at what he does. He is wonderful. He's nearly as epic as Kurt. No, sorry, Dave. You are epic. And sorry, Kurt, Dave is epic and you're epic too. They're competitive. They're CrossFit boys who are competitive. Okay. So, and we did find we got to a period, we had a quieter period in the business towards the end of last year, and it was hard to fill them both. And luckily at the same time, Dave understandably wanted to go out and do some really awesome creative stuff, and so he went back to freelancing, and now we just have Kurt, and it's a lot easier to fill one person than 2. Yeah,
because it's always a balance, isn't it, between the market wants it, needs it, the client wants it, needs it, but is it within our specialty and something that we can absolutely nail and deliver it at a really high level, or is it something that just becomes a distraction? And I don't think there's necessarily an easy answer or an obvious answer all the time, but it pays to keep asking that question. So I was curious about how you dealt with that.
Yeah, you just kind of look and learn and realise, but yeah, don't you? You know when it doesn't feel right. You certainly know when the numbers aren't right.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how closely are you watching that part of your business
Now,
and how has that changed?
Now, very closely.
Yeah.
We've employed a finance manager, Nicole Thompson. She's got superpowers. Nicole is a chartered accountant, and
That'll help.
Yeah, she is epic, and she is teaching us a lot, because that's a bit that both Donovan and I were really crap at. And so having Nicole on the team she's amazing. Like, honestly, I don't think I'd have a business without her ever. She is so good at what she does. She tells me off all the time.
Yeah, what has she added in terms of your understanding and your skills around the finances?
First of all, she's reined our costs in enormously, and that was absolutely critical.
What kind of costs were blowing out for you guys?
Subscriptions, digital subscriptions to things.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be the main one. Just, people getting excited about a new online tool, and mum and dad being very loose with the credit card saying, go for it. And then all of a sudden you wonder where all your money is. Well, Nicole found a lot of the money was in these subscriptions that we were paying for, and no one was using them.
Yeah.
So she's grown, she's got our costs under control. She's really helped to professionalise the finance function of our business. So, and that's been really
and what are you doing now that you weren't doing before finance?
Having more rigid finance reports on a monthly basis, looking at not just costs, but cost of sale, but also looking at what different bits of the business are making. She's got a really good control on cash flow forecasting, which is a dark art to me. I don't get it at all. All I know is that when the line is above the red line, that's good.
It's good.
It's good. And so she's been epic at, I still don't know how to do what she does, but she's been epic at opening our eyes and forecasting those pinch points. Our next challenge is to look at being able to forecast the revenue that we'll bring in, and putting our systems in place to do that.
Good. Yeah, it's interesting how, as you said, how it's, for most entrepreneurs, it's not a natural bent, that finance piece, but absolutely critical for navigating the waters, especially when things get choppy. And then, like, what you've got in place now is just going to allow you to go to that next level, if nothing else, just in terms of profitability. How have you identified when you need more skills in a particular area of the business?
It's when I'll look at things, and if they're not easily flowing, then that's when there becomes a problem. Do you know what I mean? So with the finance function of the business, Donovan and I were just so stressed because we just couldn't, we never had any visibility of cash flow. And that's really scary. And so it became patently obvious to us that we needed more skills in that area. And so we were able to recruit and bring them in-house. It's the same with, there's an admin lack sometimes in the business as well. I need someone who's, besides Nicole, who's really good at Excel, or someone who's really good at PowerPoint and likes it. The designers are great at PowerPoint, but they hate it. It's actually just listening to your team and what they need. It's listening to the sticking points as well. And managers is, management skills we needed as well. And we have the most epic managers now, Josie and Ash, who just are so good at solving problems. And so when they say we need something, genuinely, we really do. You do, yeah.
And speaking of skills, what have you done skill-wise over the years since you've had the business to improve your own skills? Is that something that's been organic, or is that something that's been intentional, or a mix of both?
It's been both. I have learned so much about business from working with our clients, and it's quite funny. I see bits of our clients in our business all the time. So I'll see things that we do that we've borrowed from Christchurch Airport, who've got an amazing culture, or I'll see,
What can you give us an example of that?
like, getting into, no, can you cut that bit out? I'm trying to think. Just, being able to celebrate the wins, I think is really,
Yeah, which is important to do, because I think oftentimes we do just, it's easy to catch people doing wrong. It's easy to find the gaps and where we're not working well. But if you're not like it's the same thing with kids, like positive reinforcement is the easiest way to get more of the behavior you want. So
I am the worst at focusing on the negative. Like I am medicated for generalized anxiety disorder. I am constantly worrying about what might go wrong.
Yep.
And I'm really bad at celebrating the success. And that's probably one of Josie's superpowers. She's really good at it, and Ash at shouting that stuff out. But yeah, I am, like, that is one of my areas for growth.
Areas of growth, yeah, which we've all got, right? Yeah, and I think systemizing that is something that we've found helpful with our clients and our businesses, is like just make it a part of the process, that part of the system, part of the rhythms that you have. Just if you do it systematically, then you don't need to rely on yourself. And so, like in our team, we do it every Monday in our team meeting, but we also do it every Friday in our one-on-ones. And so if you're doing it just in those 2 times alone, that's twice a week, right?
Yeah.
And then you do one, because you've remembered it through the week, and you're doing pretty good.
You know what that is, that thing you're doing?
What's that?
It's internal comms.
Internal comms. Oh, within our team. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's looking at, how you create that culture of excellence. So we have a thing that goes out every second Friday now, called Straight Shot. Mine's with Great Scott.
Straight Shot, Great Scott, yeah. Got it.
And we have the shout outs, and yeah, we've always, I think we have been good at recognising when people are going through tough times historically, and we do what we can as a business to support them. But definitely celebrating success is something we need to do better. We still haven't been out. We just won an award, 3 awards recently. We were supposed to go out for dinner, but we couldn't because nobody could come. We still haven't been out. We need to do that. Yeah.
Hopefully Donna's watching. So back to the skill thing, you were saying that it's partly been just through being around other business owners, other organisations that are doing things at a high level, that you've kind of adopted that within your own team.
So we have a whole our HR process. We have a whole HR process that I've borrowed off a client, and it's governed by a book with monthly one-on-one catch-ups and quarterly catch-ups, and yearly reviews. And so we've modelled that on another client with their permission.
Sure.
Even the language sometimes. So we have a stand-up at the beginning of each day, which is like, this is what I've got on today, and I'll say, any blockers? And that's Sinlay word. They say blockers.
Blockers.
And they'll go, no blockers. And it cracks me up every time, because I think, go Sinlay.
Yeah.
And so, we just, I see, that's what I mean. We see bits of ourselves in our business. But in terms of, my skill areas that I've, as well as osmosis, I have done lots of professional development. I did my APR, which is an accredited public relations qualification, a couple of years ago. And at the moment, a big focus for me is learning more about tikanga and te reo, which I'm finding personally really rewarding because I've been looking at my own whakapapa. So,
yeah, very cool. And so what have you done, in terms of your skills and your own superpower? You mentioned your team superpower. What do you think your superpower is? Not so much from a technical perspective, because obviously you're great at your craft, But what, from an ownership perspective, what do you think is the skill that has led to so much, or skills that have led to so much success for you in business?
Oh my goodness. You're assuming that a busy business is success.
I am assuming that.
Yeah, I think...
It's a
Look, I think Great Scott's success is, first of all, I only own half of it. And a lot of Great Scott's success is so down to Donovan. Like, Donovan is the guy that makes stuff happen. He is incredible at leading the team. He is, and we used to say that without me, I'm the big ideas and the strategy girl, and we used to say without me, Donovan would be really boring. And without him, I would be all talk and get nothing done. And sadly, 10 years on now, I can honestly say he's got a lot more exciting and is really creative in his craft. I would still get nothing done without him. So he's grown enormously. But, I mean, Great Scott is a credit to absolutely everyone who has worked there. Everyone has come in, everyone has done epic work, everyone has helped us build, grow, attract, retain clients. And so we have in our doorway a kitty, which is got the Matariki stars on it, which is good for this time of year. And in the kitty, we invite people past and present to put a photo of themselves. And because I think over time that kitty is a really good reminder of the knowledge that has built Great Scott.
pass through, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, you're very giving of your praise with Donovan, but I suspect there might be some skills under there that have indeed helped that have come from you.
Probably.
I think you're just being humble. Probably. But no, you're right. I mean, that the business, all of our businesses are ultimately built by, if we've got a team, then they're built by the team that's come through the doors.
I think probably if it's a skill, I think the thing perhaps that I might bring is passion. Like, I love what we do, and I get very excited about the opportunity to work alongside clients, and this is one reason, I still love working in an agency. And one day I still want to work in-house. I still want to be an in-house comms manager because I've never done it. And, but I get really excited. I can talk to you all day about the epic approach to sustainability that Christchurch Airport has. Like, do you know they measure the energy and water that the terminal uses in real time?
I did not know that.
Do you know that it is one of the most energy efficient and water efficient buildings? They use water from underneath the terminal they use the latent heat in that to heat and cool the building, and then return every drop to the aquifer unharmed.
Wow.
The red bins you see in the terminal, they've got a whole team that actually manually sort through that stuff to ensure that everything possible is going into a circular use, is being diverted from landfill. They are diverting over 60% of their waste, and they've got aspirations to get it to 80%. Now, most businesses don't even measure their waste. No. I'm told that of the good ones, and this is a lovely business called Sustainably that's told me this, good is 30%. Our airport is sitting at over 50%. Wow. It's epic. I get really excited about Hamner Springs. So every single drop of water that comes out of that pool today is 173 years old.
I did not know that, but that's
and they've
cool
got all the
factoid.
Scientific data. So it fell as rain or snow has made its way under the earth, 2 kilometres underground. It's been warmed gently, filled with minerals, makes its way back up to the surface, and comes into the pools that we have today. Cool. That's why it's so mineral rich. I get really excited by people's stories. That's what I love, and it's working with authentic people to tell that stuff. Synlait, here's a fun fact. Synlait have this epic program called Lead with Pride, and so they won't take just anybody's milk. They will go to a dairy farm, they'll assess its animal welfare stuff, they will assess its sustainability, they'll look at whether a farm has riparian planting, and they will pay the farmer more for the milk if they're doing those things well. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's lots of really cool businesses doing really awesome things. Sequent the other day teamed up, you know Sequent?
Yeah.
Teamed up with an epic business. I didn't even know it existed. Cerebral Fix. They're based in Manchester Street.
Yep.
Their clients are Disney,
Yes.
Pixar, Universal. Like, they are epic. And those two crews got together, and Cerebral Fix gamified Sequence underground modelling software. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll be bastardising this messaging terribly. But basically, the reason they did that is there's a massive shortage of earth scientists in the world. Like, universities are closing courses.
Oh, wow.
And enrolments are falling, and that's because geology is pretty hard to understand. Now, what they've created, the software that they have created, makes it easy by gamifying it, and that will engage people. UC, amazing university, UC have trialled it, they've given it the thumbs up, and it's hyped. I reckon we'll have millions of people using it. Visible geology. Using it. So there's just people who are doing amazing things around Waitaha, around Canterbury, and that's what I get really inspired by.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think there is a huge amount of talent in the city that most of us don't hear anything about, and the ability to tell their stories in a meaningful way, in a resonant way, is a real skill. And something that obviously you guys are doing. But going back to the passion, that I 100% would say the passion is it's hard to measure as a skill, right? Because how do I go out and get more passion? I don't know, get better at something.
Get curious.
And you get curious.
If you're not excited by something, if you want to tell a story, you've got to make it interesting. We're living in an information epidemic. And so if you want to create content or tell a story that gets cut through, you've got to make it exciting. And so that means you've got to keep mining, you've got to keep researching, and you've got to find the thing, that little gold nugget that will make it exciting. And if you cannot find that, it's a story that's not worth telling. But you've also got to be strategic and ensure that your storytelling aligns with your business goals. So if you want a reputation as a business that's built on kaitiakitanga, sustainability, or whanaungatanga connection, or manaakitanga hospitality, though it's stories aligned with those pillars that you need to be telling, because reputations are built over a very long period if you want to do it well and do it authentically. It's a drip, 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 drip of stories, whether that's TikTok posts or infographics or EDMs. And over time, if you stick with that strategy, and it is sustained public relations, and that's why we are very lucky and have had very long relationships with clients, because I do believe that in order to do good comms, you have to have a long relationship. You will find that businesses will have reputation that are built on their storytelling pillars.
Yeah, I think one of the most memorable quotes I've heard this year is, people don't know how good you are, they just know how good your marketing is. So like if you think about coaching or PR, they don't know how good you are, they just know what they see, and what they see is we could use marketing and PR communications interchangeably.
No, we can't.
I know you can't. I know you will
say...
Why.
No, I'll tell you why. Because a marketer...
Tell me why.
Here's a marketer. A marketer will come out and say, I'm so bloody good.
Yeah.
I'm so bloody good, you should use me. PR will get somebody else to say that about you.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to pick up a girl in the pub, the marketer will come out and say, you should date me, I'm hot.
Yeah.
You know? The PR person will nudge his mate and get his mate to say, have you met Marcus? He's awesome. You'd really like him.
Yeah. So PR's like a wingman.
It's a wingman. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's a complete wingman. It's the navigator. When you look at, in the doorway of Great Scott, we have a beautiful carving that was done by Whakaropo over in Littleton. And it's a carving of Kupe. Kupe, I don't know if you know much about Kupe, but Kupe was a master navigator. And he was the navigator that, with his wife, found Aotearoa. She named it Aotearoa. And they went back to Hawaii and got 7 more waka, and they led using the stars and the birds and the environment as their navigational tools. They came back to Aotearoa. And so Kupe is that master navigator, and that is what we do alongside clients. We stick with you, we navigate through challenges and towards opportunities. And Kupe in our office is holding a short waka hoe. A hoe is a paddle, and the reason he's got a short waka hoe is because short paddles were traditionally used occasionally as weapons, and occasionally we do have to get a bit feisty when it comes to reputation management. We do have to be defensive and reactive, and so that is what we are, navigators, navigating wingmen.
Okay, interesting. Well, now that I've been educated on the difference between marketing and PR, I appreciate that. It's all right. I take that, actually. It's a good distinction. I'm wondering if someone was listening to that as a smaller business, someone that doesn't necessarily have a communications budget.
Yep, I get it.
How they would apply that principle in their smaller, medium-sized business?
Easily. So first of all, you all have opportunities to get your customers to talk about you and to get Google reviews. I mean, good PR actually starts with a really good operation. That's what good. You can't
just a good business.
Absolutely. And so PR is word of mouth stuff. PR is, but things. Sorry, I'm digressing. Things little businesses can do. Collect testimonials, put them on your website, show people that visitors and prospective clients that these people really liked what we did. Show the work that you do. Enter awards. Awards make me giggle, in a way. But people really rate something if they have the ability to say it's award-winning. Yep. I remember back in 2019, Great Scott was named the small to medium PR company of the year for New Zealand, and I had a wee chuckle about it and everyone was saying, "Oh, that's amazing, Joe," and I'd say it really just means we filled in the form better than anybody else. It's not like there were these auditors that went through and looked at every small to medium-sized PR agency in New Zealand and went, "Yes, it's Great Scott." No, we just filled the form in better. And if you can't PR yourself in that way, what hope is there? But so enter awards. People really rate awards. I was going to say network. It's not networking, but be interested in people and see how you can make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like we spend a lot of time at Great Scott delivering pro bono pieces of work. One, because our team love it. That's the real meaningful mahi that we've done, and we've done some awesome stuff. But also, it's amazing what that leads to. It's
True.
amazing. It's amazing what that leads to. I wouldn't suggest that, if a business has got something particularly groundbreaking and particularly newsworthy and they've got a really good understanding of what news is, by all means, pick up the phone and ring a reporter. And even ring your local community newspaper, because actually the age of content sharing means that sometimes the best entry into the media is through a community reporter, because it'll end up on the big platform stuff and the New Zealand Herald, etc.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's that whole passion thing, just to go back to that, is really, I think you can, I'm going to use the sales language here, which you'll hate, but if you are passionate about what you're selling, then it comes across. And if you you can get away with a lot just by being passionate about what it is that you do.
You have to believe in it. If you don't believe in it, like we will not take work that we don't believe in. I won't work for a client who I don't believe in, and because it's not worth it. It's not fair. It's actually not fair to take somebody's money if you don't truly believe in and stand behind what they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's wrong, I think.
Well, I think that is a unique perspective, because I agree with you. In the same breath, I also know that some people
don't have a choice.
They might say they don't have a choice. They're like, and I hear this all the time. They're like, it wasn't really an ideal job or an ideal client or an ideal piece of work.
Oh, we all have non-ideal clients and non-ideal jobs, and jobs we lose money on and jobs that we win. But my point is, if fundamentally you do not, in public, in communications, in PR, if you don't fundamentally agree with support and rate and trust that business or that person, you should not be working for them. And I mean, look, ethically...
It's an interesting lens, that.
I won't. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I have to go out and say, they're awesome. Yeah. Whether that's to a journalist or to stakeholders in the city. And if I can't hand on heart say that, I won't work with them, because you only have your values. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we will all end up in boxes, and, you know, if you cannot live by your values, there is nothing.
Is that something that's explicit for you guys, the values piece? Is that something you when a piece of work comes in, you actually, or a person comes into the business, that you hold them up to those values, or is it just implied?
We will absolutely have internal conversations about it, for sure. Is it right for us? Are we the right person for them? It's not for me to judge whether somebody is ethical or not. All I can say is our values don't align. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not for me to say, you know, whoever is bad. It's just, we're not the right fit. If we don't believe in what you're doing, we're just not the right fit.
And have you had that? I'm curious about how you have that conversation if they're not the right fit.
Cowardly sometimes.
Yeah, how does that go? Do you do that by email? I'm sorry, we don't feel that we're the right fit.
No, I'm sorry, we're a bit busy right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let them down softly.
Yeah. Totally, because it's not for me to say, sorry, I don't believe in what you're doing.
Might be.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
If somebody came in and they were farming children or something, I'm sure I would have more to say than, sorry, we're too busy
Yes,
right now.
I'm sure you would too.
But, you know, just because it's a business that perhaps I wouldn't line with. To be honest, it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
And I think when your values are clear, you attract people with similar values. And I think that's why probably a lot of our clients share that stuff, you know, that intergenerational thinking and,
Yeah, and I imagine if most of your business comes through word of mouth or referrals, then people are looking at the kinds of clients that you're working with, and they're seeing, hey, these are if I don't fit in this basket of clients, then I'm probably not going to approach you.
Don't mind hard, don't mind controversial, but, you know, definitely. But we've got a really diverse set of clients. We don't expect people to be perfect. How can you be?
No.
How can you be? But and actually, in a way, I think, particularly around kaitiakitanga or sustainability right now, there's this massive pressure on businesses to be perfect. And there's massive criticism by a whole lot of armchair critics if people are not perfect. And I've seen some epic businesses doing some epic things run away from opportunities to showcase them, because they know sticking their head above the parapet will see them slayed. And do you know the result? The result is really sad, because we are in a climate crisis. And if we can't share failures, how will we teach other people? if we can't publicly say, tried this, didn't really work, how can we teach other people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If we can't, and that's a whole phenomenon called green hush. That is, people aren't sharing their sustainability successes or failures. They're being shamed into silence. And I think those armchair critics need to actually look at themselves, because what they're doing, is they're stopping people from inspiring others by sharing their successes, and they're stopping people from educating others by sharing their failures. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
We sit in judgment of other people all the time, and all that does is hush people up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a dangerous thing, and I think that's the beautiful thing about the age in which we live is that it's so easy to share a message, but on the other hand, it's so easier to pull a message to pieces and nitpick it. And you're right. I mean, even the other day, I posted a video and I got the numbers wrong, like horrifically wrong, not even close to being right. And someone commented on it and was like, "Hey, that was a maths fail," and it was a maths fail, 100%. Okay. And I've thought about it for a while, and I almost took it off, and then I was like, actually, it doesn't, like, the person who's criticized it has not posted a single meaningful piece of content on their profile, so the voice counts to an extent. And then I thought, actually, no, I haven't yet done a video on the fail, but I will do a video on my fail, and how it's actually the whole point. Like, for me, it's more important to ship work that's not perfect than to not put it out at all, because most of the people that watch the video get the point in the message. They don't get carried away in the fact that I did a maths fail within the first 7 seconds of the video.
Here's how I would have advised you.
Good.
Were you my client? Did you acknowledge to the person who commented on your thing and said, this is a maths fail? Did you say, eek, yes it is?
No, I didn't. I didn't even acknowledge it at all.
Oh. Did you hide it?
Hide the post?
Yeah. Did you not hide the comment?
No.
You just left it sitting there?
I just left it there. So other people have seen. Why didn't I respond to it? I don't know. I just probably got too busy.
Yeah.
And then it just went down it was like, oh well, I'm not going to take it down. I don't really care about the opinion anymore, so don't really need to reply to it.
You can get
but I probably should have.
I would have said that, but you've got to be careful, because sometimes you can get involved in a game of really unhelpful tennis when you reply, and sometimes you'll never win with the armchair critics, so you are best just to leave them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are best just to leave them. But sometimes if you can reply and acknowledge it, if you replied and said, totally hear what you're saying, Brian 103. And yep, I have. But I'm going to leave it up here because I think the message still stands. But thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice.
He's going to feel good.
He will feel good because he'll
You've made him right.
Yeah, I've really validated.
You've protected your reputation.
Yes.
You've acknowledged your wrongdoing. You're not going to get, Brian's mate Steve and Kevin to come on and grizzle as well. There's going to be no campaign to take down your business.
Yeah. Here is this this business coach who can't do maths. That's why we have a finance coach for anyway. That's his job. At the end of
the day, it's okay to make a mistake.
I know, and I think that's the whole thing. But we were talking earlier off camera about authentic leadership and that just sharing, being okay to share in your failures and how that's actually that's a superpower in and of itself right now. Did you want to riff off of that for a second?
Yes, I think it is. I think a lot of what I have noticed is a lot of the time leaders will feel the need to strap on their blazer and perform in a corporate world, get the buzzwords right, be immaculately groomed, and be the carbon copy of the guy next to him when it all boils down to it. And actually, if you can embrace who you are, people will get to know you more. Sometimes you'll see someone talking, you'd think, I just don't know who you are. Who who are you? Like, what do you like? What do you not like? And when you are just that vanilla carbon copy, who doesn't share anything of themselves, there's nothing for people to engage with. You know what I mean? And one of the loveliest comments I had about COVID was a client was talking to me, and she said, you know what I've loved? I've loved all the Zoom meetings, and people are all working from home, and I love it because I see people's kids and dogs and, husbands, and we've all become less perfect and human. And I feel like I've actually got to know my colleagues a little better because I've seen their outside life. Whereas when we're all in the office, suited and booted, we're all performing. And it's been lovely to see a little bit of that authentic stuff. And I think as a leader, if you can be, and I'm not a great leader. Like Donovan is a great leader, but if you can be a little authentic in terms of, acknowledging if you're not having a great day, acknowledging if you're struggling with something, acknowledging if you're sick, you create a safe space for your staff and your team to talk about that stuff too. And I think that's good. I think even, a lot of workplaces now will go to agile working, right? And there's this whole theory with agile working and flexible working, but their leaders don't embrace it loudly. And so if you can say, right, I'm going now because Cynthia's got gymnastics. Sorry, who would call their kid Cynthia? Sorry for any mothers or fathers or caregivers or non-binary caregivers.
My daughter's name's Cynthia.
It is not. I know your daughter's name. But you know what I mean? Like there's this whole phenomenon about when a business moves to that, training the leaders to leave loudly. So that it's okay for staff to do that too. It's that authentic leadership. Sometimes, like a chief executive may have been absent for a long period and people will be like, what's happened to old, where's Brian now? I never see Brian, And if Brian was to come back to work and say, oh, I'm so sorry, guys, I've actually been really sick, two things would happen. His team would say, oh, jeepers, Brian, really? That's awful. I'm so sorry you've been through all of that. And they would rally and support him to do a better job. But also, they would understand it's okay for them to be sick too. Like it's a healthy culture to acknowledge that a business is made up of humans, and humans are imperfect. We all drop things, My team will be laughing, listening to this. They'll be going, she is the worst when we drop things.
when you drop things, or the worst because she doesn't tell us how she actually is?
Oh, no, I think no.
I feel like you're a pretty open book.
I'm an open book when it comes to that. But what I mean is I'll panic if somebody does something wrong. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're going to fix this. So they'll be saying, oh yeah, Joe, you are not chilled out when we drop things.
Yeah, it's... I agree. I think the whole leaving loudly thing, it's a real danger in small businesses. People don't want to be perceived as like they're away from their business, because what if somebody critiques me for leaving the business? What if I'm not working at 10 o'clock at night trying to get stuff done? What if I'm not there first thing and last thing?
You can't work till 10 o'clock at night. We've got this, as we talked briefly about, one of the biggest challenges facing businesses now is a shortage of skilled workers, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you talk to, it's real problematic. So the way to address that is by creating the very best employee experience, right? So we've done stuff to help address that. We pay overtime, we pay overtime. If staff are working on something that is billable outside of office hours.
And this is for salaried staff?
Yes.
Yeah.
We will pay them to do that. Do you know the irony?
What's the irony?
Nobody works overtime, really.
Okay.
Except Donovan and I. Oh, sorry, and Ash and Josie, they're amazing.
Do you pay yourselves overtime?
No.
Dumb question.
We haven't had a pay rise 3 years, for goodness sake, Marcus.
Yeah.
But no, but we're in business.
I know. Well, this is the thing, right?
Yeah, but it's funny. Like if you sometimes... it really interests me. Our staff can work from home if they want to. They have renegotiated their hours so that they work 8 or 9 day fortnights, and they all have different days of the week off. That's the sort of stuff I think that people get excited about, and one of the reasons why that talent shortage hasn't impacted us yet. We're very lucky.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the question that I always ask people if they say good talent's hard to find is like, what are you doing to attract it then?
Oh,
So
100%.
if you are not the most attractive employer in your industry and your industry is exceedingly difficult to find good staff in, it's just another form.
I think part of it too is it's using that third party endorsement thing again. It's that PR thing. It's getting if you're having trouble attracting staff and you are a good place to work, get your employees to help you. Mm-hmm. Get your employees to do a little video shot on a phone. Hey, we need a new blooming landscaper.
Have you guys done that with your roles? I saw it, as in like got your team actively involved in hunting for people?
They tend to get involved because they want to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
But we've never intentionally. Our beautiful Hattie's about to go and have a baby, which is pretty exciting. And so she went out and said and posted it on her LinkedIn. But we've never asked. We've often said to the team, "Oh, we need another comms person. Anybody know anyone?" And yeah.
How many roles have you filled just through that, like through your internal team? Because often I see that as something that's neglected, like
a lot.
Birds of the feather flock together.
Yeah, quite a lot.
If you find a good person, chances are they know someone else who's good.
Who's good too, 100%. A lot, really. We seldom go to market, which is a bit dumb because...
you could be missing out on some...
Well... I learnt the hard way. I've now banned myself from recruitment in our
business.
You
were mentioning that earlier.
I'm not good at recruitment anymore. I've banned. I think part of it is having been a manager since I was 22, back in the News Talk ZB at 22 days. I've done a lot of recruiting, and I don't give it enough attention anymore. You'll do.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Do you find yourself looking for the good and looking for reasons to hire people?
I find Donovan and we were actually having this conversation at our management meeting this morning, and Donovan made the comment, he said, the problem with Jo is that she'll sit there and go, I can save you.
Yeah.
And I can grow you. And yeah, that's the problem. So we've agreed that I'm banned from recruitment.
You're out. Yep. I think it's a good strategy for most owners. And I heard something else recently that a particular company had instituted, that the hiring manager could not be involved in the recruitment process, because if you're the head of videography and you desperately need a video assistant, you have this vested interest in hiring someone, and so anyone will do. Whereas if you pull them out and you make the accounting manager, they still have the job description and all the necessary requirements on paper, but the accounting manager is not going to have the same propensity to push go on the wrong person that someone is when they have a vested interest in it.
I get that, as long as the person has got the skills.
Yeah. Obviously, they'd have to be vetted on paper.
I couldn't hire a designer. I don't know what they do.
No.
I couldn't hire a videographer. I don't know what they do.
But you could if you got a job description.
No, because I still wouldn't understand the difference between InDesign and Illustrator, and I wouldn't be able to ask capability questions.
No, you would have to have them involved somewhere in the process, like you said.
Second interview.
Second interview.
I've said to Donovan this morning, I can do the final coffee.
Yeah.
I'll do a final coffee. That's it. I'm done.
That is cool though that it sounds like you've really thought through the employee experience thoroughly. If you've got that team really dialed in now and you're delivering great work, and I think the ultimate test of that is the clients that you're bringing on. Like if you didn't have a great employee experience, if your people weren't happy and also great at their job, you just wouldn't be delivering the work at a level that was encouraging more referrals.
We learnt the hard way, to be honest. It's not always easy. And look, we are far from perfect.
Sure.
And I mean it quite genuinely when I tell you, I am a nightmare when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I am. I'm a nightmare. I can be snappy. My communication is ironically really awful, and I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
And
but at least you can see that.
Yeah, but I have come a long way. I remember a few years ago we had a very unhappy team.
Yeah.
And they were really brave, and they gave a whole lot of feedback about what a nightmare I was, and how Donovan didn't stand up for them. And we had to do a massive rethink. And it was hard. I smoked for an entire weekend. It was soul destroying.
Just whilst you were rethinking?
Just fetal. It was awful. It was really hard to hear that stuff. But, you know, you have to listen to that. And I still am guilty of, this has been a particularly stressful year for me. And, but you have to value people. And I'm the worst at telling people sometimes that I really value them. So I'm trying.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you don't have to, but I think because a lot of people don't. So
I think you do have to.
I agree with you. I agree with the sentiment, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, but we do have this big generational difference now, right?
Yeah.
And particularly younger people, they need that. They need to be told they're doing a good job. And they need to feel a purpose for what they're doing. They need to believe in the company that they're working for. And all the research will tell you that. Yeah. And so you have to go out of your way to celebrate them. And it's hard. It's really hard sometimes, it's really hard to make sure that everybody gets recognised. And that's where good office managers and stuff come in, because they will remind you, hey, it's been a while since so-and-so had a shout out. Because that stuff the team really take notice of.
That stuff human beings take notice of.
I agree. I do.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think it matters how old you are or what generation you're from. Like, we all love to be told, hey, you're doing a great job. And some people are really forthcoming with that and some people aren't. But yeah, I 100% agree. We've got a generation that's looking for more meaning, and we don't have any particularly great causes to fight for, arguably. Certainly there's no world wars like previous generations had, or conflicts that we're going into as a nation. There's a really fractured tribal nature in society, and the place that you work for is one opportunity you have to go to work and actually have some meaning to the thing that you're doing with your time.
I don't think it puts a lot of pressure on business leaders, I think, to say you've got to give your staff purpose. And it's not that I'm saying we all need to give up and then get into renewable energy so we can decarbonise the world through electrification. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's actually saying, all right, as a business, this is what we stand for. Yeah. So we believe in accessibility. We believe in making our comms as accessible as possible, because, a quarter, I think, of New Zealanders identify, this is where I'll have my maths wrong, with having a disability. And it's important that those people are given access to information as well. It's standing up for sustainability. I mean, we're an office. We're about to launch a sustainable procurement policy, which will ensure we don't buy or produce anything that we don't think about having a circular use. It's those little things that all add up, and it's telling those stories to your team so they go, oh yeah, they're good. This is still good. I can still back this place.
Yeah, 100%. I actually think the key thing you keep repeating is that story. And people, and you said earlier that you get excited by people's stories, and that to me seems like a massive opportunity within businesses, is actually just telling the story. We did a workshop on Friday around teams and building higher performing teams, and one of the key things that comes up again and again and again is purpose, but it's really about understanding the context and how and what we're actually doing and why that matters. Like, if you're serving a piece of chicken to someone, why does that matter? It's for you, it's just another piece of chicken, but for them, that's memories with their family, that's them going out on a Friday night because they've had a tough week and they want some comfort food. And that they're parting with their money, their hard-earned cash to do that. And so to you, it's just handing over a bit of chicken until you actually give them the context and the story around what you're doing actually means something.
Well, it's a privilege to be the chicken that person chose, right?
It is.
There's a lot of chicken.
And hopefully it's tasty.
And if we take them for granted, our customers have a lot of choice and they can get a lot of chicken elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we want to be, for me, and I say this too, for me, I always think just be your best. Do your best. And I don't understand how people cannot want to be their best. Oh, no, that's not true. I do. There's addiction. There's a whole lot of things that come into that. But to me, work and find what you're passionate about. And if you're not passionate about serving chicken, don't be a chicken server. Please, for the sake of that business,
Yeah. I
guess some people have to serve chicken.
Well, that's right. And I reflect on I think that's been a big mistake in my career up until going into the coaching advisory space. Like, I think I was always waiting for the thing that I was passionate about. I was like, one day I'll find what I'm passionate about, rather than actually looking for the opportunity and fully juicing the work that I was doing for all of the lessons that it had. I kind of feel like I skipped over a lot of my career waiting for the perfect thing. And I actually, if I had connected, this period of my life is really going to teach me a whole bunch of skills. I think I would have got a lot more out of it. But
I think you're probably right. I think I probably speak from a place of privilege. We are privileged. We haven't had to onboard work that we don't believe in. I'm privileged in that I genuinely do get quite excited about things. And I acknowledge that it's a place of privilege, and not everybody has that privilege. So I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think everyone should do work that means something to them, but I also think there's stages and ages where you can't always do that. But
I worked in Foursquare as a fruit and veggie assistant.
It's hard to find meaning in that.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, there's a whole bunch of lessons in even doing something like that. Like, you can make someone's day when you're working in fruit and veg, or you can just be a silent ghost that
I just loved it when the display was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a real perfectionist, so I loved it when, I trimmed the brown bit off the bottom of the lettuces so that they looked really fresh. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a job to trim the bottom of the lettuces.
When it was all perfectly displayed and lovely. I just think, just even if you're not passionate about it, do it well.
Yes.
Because you'll feel good.
That's right, yeah.
You're never going to feel proud of what you do if you're just chucking chicken over a counter. But if the chicken is lovely and it looks lovely and you've said hello and you'll get the smile back, and then that's when you'll get the well-being benefits and the pride and,
Yeah, Cal Newport has this great book. Actually, the name escapes me, but the principle is when you do something well, you feel passionate about it.
Yes, I agree with him.
And my daughter recently was bemoaning how she wasn't enjoying piano. And we just had this real frank conversation about, of course you're not enjoying it because you're not good at it, and you're not good at it because you're not practicing it. And then so we had this little conversation around that, and then we built her this little banana star chart where she sounds crazy, but she draws a little banana over the day when she's done practice. And we set a challenge. I said, you've got to play it every day. If you do it for 30 days, there's a prize. And she has done it. She's now into week 6, I think. And she literally played every single day for 30 days. And then she was saying to me the other day, she was just so pumped because her teacher had put her up to the next book. she'd moved on from the beginner book onto the next book up, and she was so proud of herself. And she's like, and I'm enjoying playing the piano. And I was like, yeah, of course, honey, that's great. You should. And it's
such a good parent.
Well, you know, but I think that's, you know, it's one of the benefits we have of being exposed to information, or I have of being exposed to information that's helpful for parenting. But yeah, she's enjoying it because she's learned the skill, and will she carry on playing piano? Who knows? But at least she's enjoying it because she's getting better at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's how I think about it.
I just tell my kids to suck it up, and they're lucky to be able to play piano because I didn't get to do piano when I was a kid.
I didn't have that privilege. Yeah. That's it. Well, I think that's a nice place to finish is on passion, and I think you're a passionate person. It's cool to hear you describe your business and the work you do with such passion. And if there was one thing that you would want to leave people with, one piece of life-changing advice, Joe. No, one note to finish out of, and I think it's always nice to finish on out of your experience, like in your business journey up until now. What's the one key lesson that if you could share with someone you'd want to leave with them?
Employ people who are way better than you, and know that you don't have to have all the answers.
Very good. Yep, I like that. I think there'll be some other owners nodding in agreement with that.
It's real stressful when you think you've got to have all the answers. Oh.
Who would want to do that?
I learned the hard way. I don't.
Yep, awesome. Well done, Joe.
Cheers.